Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back with another video today. So this one's going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. Usually when you see these videos, you don't really see me. But I am going to be doing a video about all my arcade controllers. You can see some of them behind me. But I'm going to be going through those controllers and letting you know when I got them, what I use them for. And I mean, I have a lot of arcade sticks. I'm telling you, when it comes to arcade sticks, it's crazy. I started on, I would say, the NES, and I've gotten an arcade stick for just about every console after NES. So I'm going to be showing you guys those in the video today. And then the culmination video is basically going to be showing you the ultimate arcade stick, which replaces all of them. So a lot of the ones that I had as a kid, I'm no longer going to even have anymore. I'm probably just going to get rid of them. But I will be showing you those today. So just stay tuned for that, and it's coming up. All right, guys, I'm back. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So the first arcade stick I'm going to show you guys is the NES Advantage. So as a kid, playing in the arcade, playing Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Time Killers, all of those games in the arcade when I went to, I'm here in Ohio in Cleveland, so it kind of started out at Geauga Lake, and then there was another amusement park called Conneaut Lake. Not a lot of people around the U.S. are going to remember Conneaut Lake, but if you are from Ohio, you probably will remember Conneaut Lake. And then we started going to Geauga Lake, and those amusement parks got me into arcades. I would always go into arcades, and I can finally remember seeing Mortal Kombat 1 for the first time in that arcade. Just like blew my mind. And then also I would go to Euclid Square Mall here in Euclid, Ohio, and then Randall Park Mall in Randall, Ohio. And I will always be at those arcades too until, you know, those arcades got shut down because people started fighting and gangs hanging out and stuff like that. So that's where it started. But when I first got my home console, you know, you had the regular controller, right, with the D-pad, and it was fine, but I just didn't think that it was adequate for certain games, and I was so accustomed to using the joystick. So I ended up getting this NES Advantage from Heal's department store. I don't know if Heal's is like all across the country or not, but I got mine from Heal's. And the game that I really played this the most with would have been Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I just felt like I got the best advantage on that game with this controller. And I played other games with it too, but Mike Tyson's Punch-Out definitely was the one that I really enjoyed. So this controller is pretty dope. As you can see right there, you got your two face buttons, big face buttons. You got your B and A right there. And then you're starting, well, that's not starting select. These are turbos, I think it was, to turn those on. And you're starting select over here, slow if you wanted to, and then 1 and 2 player right there. And then this controller, you know, you would plug this into both controller ports on your NES right there, which is pretty dope. Really long stick right there. And then that's the bottom there. So if you've never seen this, this right there shows you 1987, when they created this controller. So pretty dope controller. I love the NES Advantage. It was my first arcade stick at home. Didn't have one until I had this, and really loved this controller. So let me know what you think about this. If you use it, let me know down in the comment section if you ever used the NES Advantage. And then some, you know, the turbo was pretty cool. Didn't really help you, and it didn't help you at all on Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but other games like Super Mario 3 or Mega Man or something like that, those turbo buttons would actually help you, especially when you're flying with Mario, the Tanuki suit, I think it is. Pretty dope. Mega Man shooting your gun, pretty dope. So that's the NES Advantage. That's my first arcade stick right there that I've ever had. And then I've gone on after that, obviously. After the NES, it was the SNES. And then, you know, the brilliant guys behind the Advantage, they created this one, and they just called it the Super Advantage. So basically, you went from the NES, which is the Advantage controller, to the Super Nintendo, the SNES, to the Super Advantage controller, which this one was pretty dope. Has that classic NES colorway on it, which is really nice. And they made it look like the Super Nintendo, which is dope. So it matched your Super Nintendo, which was pretty awesome. And then on here, you'll see all of your face buttons. So you have your A, B, Y, and X. And you have your shoulder buttons, which were introduced on the SNES. You have your L and R right there. Start and select. Then you have your slow buttons, or your slow feature, turn up and down. Then you have turbo over here. And you have all your settings right here at the top right there, which is pretty dope. You have the auto, turbo, and then off here. So once again, what would I say on Super Nintendo? I would say it would have been, for me, Killer Instinct, obviously, the Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3. What other fighting games did I play on Mortal Kombat? All the Street Fighters, obviously. Trying to come to my mind, it's been so long since I played any of the fighting games on SNES. But those are the games I was playing. Definitely playing Mortal Kombat. But, you know, Mortal Kombat I played more on Genesis, because on Genesis you had the blood. On SNES you didn't have the blood, and they came out with like codes and game genies and stuff to like add that stuff in. But I did enjoy Mortal Kombat on Genesis more than I did on the Super Nintendo, which is, hey, it is what it is. But, you know, Super Nintendo had brighter colors. That's what I felt. I felt it had a brighter color palette. But when it came to Genesis, the sound was better on Genesis, and then they had things like blood, which, you know, Nintendo has always been one of those companies against things that they feel are going to hurt kids or, you know, hinder kids or whatever. So I get it, whatever. But that's the Super Advantage right there. Where did I get this one at? I got this at Kmart. I'm almost positive I got this at Kmart back in the day. Yeah, it definitely was. Was it Kmart? I think it was Kmart. I'm almost positive I got this from Kmart back in the day. So there's the Super Advantage right there. There's the bottom of it. And, you know, kept it in really good condition. I mean, these controllers back in the day were built like tanks. They're not like controllers today where they break and you get stick drift and all that stuff. As often, these were really, really well made. And as you can see, they stand the test of time. The most that you would ever get on something like one of these controllers is maybe some rust here on the bottom. If it wasn't in a weather controlled area or something like that, you would get some rust down here. But for the most part, the face controller, they didn't yellow like the systems did, so you didn't have to worry about that. Maybe some of this, if you were hard on it, would fade off. But, you know, as you can see, mine has, it tested time. It didn't have any issues right there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to Sega. So let's go ahead and look at the Sega controllers real quick, arcade sticks that I have. All right, so the next one, like I said, is for Genesis. And this is definitely one of my favorite ones, man. I remember, I let my mom use this, but we'll get into that later. So this one right here is a Sega Genesis Power Arcade stick right here. Pretty dope stick. One of my favorite sticks, actually. I really did love this. I wish this one had 6 buttons, because obviously in Mortal Kombat to have 6 buttons was the better choice for like the fighting games. But this one had 3 buttons. But you got your A, B, and C right here. And then up here you could turn these on for the turbo, when they call it Mega Fire right there. You can turn it up right here, and you had your start button right there. But this joystick was really good. I love this one. I use this for fighting games like Bloodsport, Eternal Champions, Mortal Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which Ultimate Mortal Kombat was like my favorite one. Time Killers, I had Time Killers on Sega Genesis, so I use this one also on Sega Genesis. And then what I was going to say before, I introduced my mom to Sega Genesis, and she was amazing in Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man to be specific. And she used this controller to play Miss Pac-Man on the Sega Genesis. I bought that Miss Pac-Man for her from Heels Department Store. I bought it for her from Heels. And she played Miss Pac-Man like crazy, and she used this controller, and she was always at like the top of the scoreboards, because she couldn't get the D-pad. Like, she just didn't get how that worked, but this seemed a lot more easier for her when she played that. But this is the one I use for Sega Genesis. I love this one. Sega Genesis, Sega CD, Sega 32X. This was the go-to controller for me playing any of those games. Now, when the 6-button came out, I did go to the 6-button. I don't know if they made an arcade stick for Genesis and the 6-button. They may have, but I ended up going to the controller, the 6-button controller, the smaller one. So I went to that one, and I felt like I was a lot better on that one with the 6 buttons in Mortal Kombat. And you had to go into Mortal Kombat settings and change it from the classic 3-button to the 6-button, which was pretty dope. So that's that controller there. The bottom here, pretty dope. Sega Power arcade stick. Got your serial number down there, model number. And as you can see, this was kept in very good condition too. This is metal down here. It's just like a black anodized metal. Excuse me. So awesome controller. Really, really highly suggest this controller. Even till to this day, if you go back and play some retro stuff and you're playing on an actual physical Sega Genesis, I highly recommend this console. It's not, I mean, this controller is not that expensive, so you could definitely pick that one up there. So I was gonna stay with Sega. Actually, you know what? I will stay with Sega for a second, and then I'm gonna show you guys a different one. So the next one for Sega for me, which this controller is dope. One of the most fantastic controllers I've used when it came to an arcade stick, and that is the Sega Saturn arcade stick. So this controller is phenomenal. It still is phenomenal. It just, the way you put your hands on it, the way you can use it is just awesome. Because when you put your hands here, you have your L and R right here, and it just feels natural for like your pinky and your thumb to go there, and then these fingers here, and it just works, man. It just is so comfortable. They did an amazing job when they created this controller for the Saturn. Unfortunately, I mean, the Saturn, I don't think was very popular here in the States. Sega made some mistakes with the Sega Saturn. But I loved that console. And then on Sega Saturn, Street Fighter Alpha, Mortal Kombat again. There's always going to be Mortal Kombat, right? I think what else did I play on there? God, it's evading me right now. But just love the fighting games, man. So up here you had your speed. These are your turbo switches up here. Pretty simple. Just switch which ones you wanted up and down there. Really dope controller. Really comfortable. Highly suggest if you've never used it. It's awesome. Just the way they made this controller, it fits your hand. Like if you can see my hand here, so my pinky is on the R button, right? And then my thumb would rest on the L. So my hand was sitting naturally here. And it would just, you know, I could switch over from L to A. And it just felt so comfortable. So I really highly suggest this controller. Is one of my favorites right there. So that is the Sega Saturn one. And like I said, everything I had, just about every console I had an arcade stick, except for I didn't have an arcade stick for N64 or GameCube. So those are the ones that I did not have. So you won't see those, unfortunately, here. N64 was cool, but like, and it had one of my favorite fighting games, which was Killer Instinct Gold on it. But I did really like the controller. I think Nintendo wanted people to focus on that controller that they made, because it was a really good controller and it was different from any other controller that was out on the market. So I don't really recall many N64 arcade sticks. There were some, but not as many as the other consoles. The other consoles were just readily available. But Hori or, you know, Sega the company or all these other companies were dropping these arcade sticks. But for the N64, they really didn't make as many. There are some, but just very few and in between for that console. So that's the controller there. This is the bottom here. Like I said, metal on the bottom there. Good thing is no rust on this one here. And then this controller I got from KB Toy Stores. So KB Toy Stores is where, yeah, I'm almost positive it was KB. Yeah, it was KB Toy Stores where I got this for the Saturn. And the first time I seen this is when you walk into KB Toy Stores, they had in the front like little kiosks where you could play the controllers. And the store manager at the time, or the associate or whatever, was demoing this controller. He had it plugged up and people were buying it. They were loving it. They saw it, they got to test it out right there in the store, and they bought it. And I was one of those people that bought it too. Loved KB Toy Stores. If you remember, I don't know, all the games were right behind the counter. So they were like behind, you would see them behind the counter. And then in the front, they had like right where that little, it was like a little basket, or like a steel basket with a whole bunch of toys in it. They had the kiosk right there next to the counter too. So awesome controller, and definitely love this one. All right, so moving on for a second from Sega, because shortly after, and then shortly after that, or somewhere around Sega Saturn, I got into Neo Geo. So we're going to talk about that one here. So Neo Geo, the cool thing about Neo Geo is this came with your console. So you didn't have to worry about an arcade stick. The home Neo Geo console came with an arcade stick, so it gave you that arcade perfect feel because the Neo Geo showed up in the arcade as the MVS, right? So that's what you played with, was an arcade stick. So when it came home, they made sure to give that arcade style, and they gave you an arcade stick. You could get the D-pad if you wanted to later on down the line, and the D-pad came with the Neo Geo CD. So that's the controller for the CD, but people also use it for the AES also. This one here is modified. So I got the buttons. These were all black on the original. But I got this switched out and got these modified. And that's the cool thing about arcade sticks. Later on down the line, I started customizing my arcade sticks with better components. You had the Senwa buttons, which were much better buttons if it didn't come with that. And then you had your gates. And so your gate is how your joystick moves. 4-way, 8-way. I think they even have like a 10 and a 12. I haven't been customizing gates in a while. I've done it in the past, but for the most part, the newer controllers come with really good gates. I have switched out the buttons. And then what a lot of people have also done is like put color LEDs on here so it will light up and stuff. All type of things you can do with the controller, your arcade stick, to make it custom to you. But this is what I did with mine. Neo Geo, I mean, obviously you use this arcade stick for everything, right? Neo Geo was, I mean, that's where you gritted your teeth on fighting games. They had everything. King of Fighters, Art of Fighting, Maître Melee, God, I could just go on and on for fighting games. And then arcade sticks, Metal Slug, right? Metal Slug was awesome. And it just felt natural when you came home to be able to play Metal Slug with this arcade stick. Neo Geo has my heart, has always had my heart. I got my Neo Geo from Software Etc. And as a kid, I was a paper boy, right? You had a paper route, and just in my neighborhood, I would deliver the papers. They would drop them off to me in a bundle, and I'd go around and deliver it to the people who are on my paper route. So the way I ended up getting a Neo Geo for myself as a kid, and I was a kid, and I earned the money myself, is I went to everyone on my paper route and asked them if I could shovel their driveway for the, the season or whatever. And a lot of them, they loved me. I was a kid, and I was a nice kid, right? So I just said yes. So I got tons of money over that winter, and I was able to purchase my own Neo Geo. So that is something that, Neo Geos are very expensive, $6.99, $5.99, and this is in the 90s, so it's a lot of money. But, $10 a yard to shovel a driveway, through the winter season, you can rack that money up pretty fast. And as a kid, when you want something, right, nothing's going to stop you. That money doesn't have to go anywhere because you don't pay any bills or anything. So, you have that in your mind, and then you just focus on it and you get it. And that's what happened with me. And that's why I was the only kid in my neighborhood that had a Neo Geo, which was pretty awesome. But love the console, love the Neo Geo. And then as a side note, the Neo Geo Plus is coming out here in November. So for all you guys that didn't have a Neo Geo, you're going to have the opportunity to buy a Neo Geo at a very reasonable cost. I think it's $299 or $200. I think there's two different bundles. There's a white bundle, black bundle. I think the white bundle that comes with Metal Slug is $299, and then the other one is $199. Don't quote me on that, but look it up if you are interested. They're re-releasing it, a 1-to-1 copy of the Neo Geo. So pretty awesome, and I absolutely love this system. If you're a fighting game fan or a sports fan, especially soccer or baseball, all-star baseballs too, Neo Geo is the way to go. I mean, you can play those games a million different ways now. You can on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. They have them where you can download them. But if you're ever interested in getting an authentic experience, they are re-releasing the Neo Geo. So I wanted to put that out there. All right, so let's put this one to the side. All right, so we're going to skip on to PlayStation here. And then we'll come back to Sega because I have one other Sega one. But we got to go to PlayStation, the big dog, right? So I ain't going to lie, man. When PlayStation hit the scene, like, there was nothing stopping Sony from hitting the scene, right? They came in what was it? When they announced the PlayStation 1, it was after Sega. Sega had announced the Sega Saturn, I think, for crazy prices, like 500 or something. And so, as I recall, I think I'm correct on this. Tell me if I'm not in the comments. But Sega comes on the stage, and I think it was like $2.99 and walks off the stage. Like, they killed it because the PlayStation was so much cheaper than the Sega Saturn that they just came on. It was like $2.99, bye. Just dropped the mic, walked off the thing, and everybody went crazy because that was a great price for a console of what it had, right? So lesson that people need to learn about Sony is never let them go last. You know, let them do everything first and react off of Sony, because, you know, if you look into the future, they did that to Xbox too. Xbox, when they were announcing the Xbox One and they had DR on this, DR on that, and football this and football that, they went second, and they made a video, and it seemed like they made that video there behind the stage, and we're talking about this is how you share a game, and they showed him sharing the game instead of the convoluted way that Microsoft was doing it at the time. But I don't want to get distracted. We're here for controllers, right? So this was for my PS1. Phenomenal controller. You know, you have your face buttons here. You have your L1, L2, R1, R2. Then you have your circle, X, square, and triangle. You have all of your turbos up here, however you want it to. You can have auto over there, turbo, and then off. You can have them all switched right there. Pretty awesome. Then you had slow on and off up there. You had your start and select up there. So controller, you know, I kept it in pretty good condition. At this time, my youngest brother started to get into video games, so he started using my stuff. So he didn't treat them as well as I would have liked, but that is the PlayStation 1 right there. Here's the bottom, and pretty decent on the bottom right there. You have ASIC right here. Pretty awesome. And as you can see, you can get rust sometimes on your controller. So that's what happened a little bit on this one. But this is a phenomenal controller. And the PlayStation was amazing. I mean, listen, you can go on and on about fighting games on PlayStation. I played all of them. Okay, Street Fighter Collection, Street Fighter Alpha, Mortal Kombat. Come on, Mortal Kombat is going to be a staple in this video because they re-release Mortal Kombat every time they release a count. Same thing with Street Fighter. Tekken, how could you forget Tekken? Battle Arena Toshinden. What else? Soul Calibur, Soul Edge. What else, man? I don't want to forget anything, but I know I'm going to. It's unfortunately, you're just going to forget some stuff when it comes to this console, because there was a plethora of fighting games on PlayStation that you could choose from. All the Mortal Kombats they had re-released: Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, Mortal Kombat anthologies, or was it? No, it wasn't. Dang, I can't remember the name of it, man. But and it's crazy because I bought that one from Toys R Us, the same as I bought this controller. I bought this controller from Toys R Us too, as a kid. Mortal Kombat Trilogy, MK Trilogy, is what it was called, and essentially it was 1, 2, 3 Ultimate all combined in one disc with some extras. One of my favorite Mortal Kombats of all time. That game was amazing. Me, and at the time, my best friend Brian Ascentico, we hopped the bus. I think it was on Euclid in Cleveland in 28, I think it was, to down to Union Square Mall, and KB Toy Store, not KB Toy Store, Toys R Us was on the outside of the mall. And we hopped the bus, went in, and bought Mortal Kombat, and then I ended up getting this controller too. And this controller was phenomenal. I always felt like I had an edge over everyone when I was playing with an arcade stick. I just felt like your inputs for your directions were much, much better than it was with a D-pad. And you can kind of, when you hear the clicks, you know that that input was, you know, correct. You know, so I just felt like I had a better experience with this, and I kept it going. So that one right there was for the PlayStation 1. Phenomenal controller. Really, really, really enjoyed this controller. And still have it to this day, which I'm really, really happy about that one. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back to Sega for a second, because this is like the OG, right, for me. This controller was like the top dog. This console was the top dog. It was my baby. And that is arcade stick for the Sega Dreamcast. Listen, the Sega Dreamcast for me will go down in history as the perfect console. And I know that's hard to say for some people. You know, a lot of people would say the PS2 was probably the perfect console for them. But the Dreamcast was perfect for me. There was nothing about the Dreamcast that I didn't like. So I got my original Dreamcast. I was in college in Bowling Green, Ohio. I got my first credit card from Sears department store. And that's where I got my Dreamcast from. And at that time, I just got everything that was available for it. And the Dreamcast controller was dope too, right? But this console had online play, which was an amazing online play. 4 controller ports out the gate. The VMU was amazing. The VMU would go here. And I loved so many things about this system. It was a perfect system for me. There's nothing that Sega could have done more to make this system any better in my eyes. So I got that from there. This controller, I did not get it from there. I actually imported this controller when I was in college. So I didn't get this from the States. I got this when I imported it. Phenomenal arcade controller. The Dreamcast is by far the best. It was the best way to play Marvel Vs. Capcom 2 at home. If you weren't in an arcade, if you wanted to play the closest experience to the arcade, you were playing it on a Dreamcast. Just simple as that. I mean, turning it on and hearing that music the first time was just crazy for that. And then you also had Power Stone, you had Mortal Kombat, you had Soul Calibur, you had a lot of freaking awesome games. So I'm telling you now, the Dreamcast has and will always have my heart. It is the perfect console for me. There's nothing this console did wrong other than the CEOs deciding not to continue with making consoles. This was the last Sega console that they made, which broke my heart. It actually did break my heart, man, because I just don't understand. It was the best thing out there. There was nothing touching it, man. So breaks my heart to say that, you know, no longer is Sega in the system making business, and the Dreamcast was the last they made, but it was the greatest that they made out of every console they had. And another thing I loved about VMU, around this time for the Dreamcast, when I really started to get in football games, and Madden I got into on PlayStation, and then I really got into it on Dreamcast when NFL 2K came out. But you know, one of the things that in sports games people always complained about when you were playing your buddies is them looking at your plays, because the plays were on the screen, right? So people could cheat and kind of know what you were picking because they would look at your plays. But on the Dreamcast, they came out with the feature with the VMU, because the VMU had a screen where your plays would show up on your controller and they wouldn't show up on the screen, which was awesome. Just so many features and advantages that they had on a Dreamcast that they don't even have today, you know. So phenomenal system, and you'll always hear me talk high of the Dreamcast, and it is my all-time favorite console ever created. Nothing will surpass the Dreamcast for me. And as you can see, the bottom is in excellent condition, because it wasn't a lot of use on this controller because Dreamcast wasn't around that long before we moved on to other consoles. But there you go. That's the controller there. Phenomenal controller, and the VMU slid right into the top right here. And this is that one right here, man. This is that one. All right, so there you go for the last of the Sega consoles. All right, so we're gonna be moving on to now what you would obviously expect was the PS2. So PlayStation, I got into when I got into PlayStation 2. I went over to Hori. So Hori was like the creme de la creme of arcade sticks, and they kind of still are. They still make very good arcade sticks to this day. There's some other companies you'll see later on in this video that are better, but Hori is always still top dog. They always use great materials and parts for all of their controllers. I gotta get some water here. I'm talking a lot. The most you guys are gonna ever hear me talk in a video, because this video is long. Excuse me. But hopefully you guys enjoying it. Hopefully you'll watch it. This will give me some more view time on the channel. Usually my videos are nowhere near this long. But anyways, this here is the Hori controller. It's the real arcade PS controller. This is a phenomenal controller. No complaints about this controller. The gate on this was good. The buttons felt really, really good. Down here you had your start and select, slow mode, and your turbos for all of your buttons. And this one had a little bit of a different colorway for the buttons itself. The only thing I didn't like about this controller, and I learned this maybe 2 or 3 weeks into it, that this top plate is metal. And as you can see, I scuffed it over here on the side. And I did that early on. This is like, got to be like early 2000s. When that happened, I was mad. I was really upset. Then later on, I ended up getting rust down here on the bottom. Just from being wet from something. Maybe could be my palm, you know, because you're right here, your palm is here sweaty. So who knows? But that's something I didn't like about this controller, is that the top here is it's a metal plate. I really would have preferred it to have been all plastic on the top, for those reasons here. You get that scuff on there, it gets rusted, and there's not much you can really do about that. So that's that controller there. Here's the bottom. Surprisingly, not much rust on the bottom, just in the corner, which is the same area where the palm was at. So it's a Hori controller. Awesome controller. Really did like this one. And where did I get this one from? I can't really recall where I got this one from. It could have been KB Toy Stores or probably Toys R Us. I'm not sure. Because Hori, they didn't have a lot of products in the US at the time. I don't think I imported this one. It might have been, and it's not Staples. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure where I picked this one up at the time, but nonetheless, phenomenal controller right there. All right, so that's PS2. So we did all of, for the most part, we did all of like the retro consoles. So let's go ahead and move on. So PS2. So now we're getting into the PS3 era. So I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible because this video is getting long. Alright, so we're back. This one, I almost forgot about this because it was in the box in my storage. So this is actually for PS2 and Xbox. So you can use this one on either of them. And this was a phenomenal controller. Very expensive back in the day. And I'm almost sure this one came from GameStop or EB Games. But this here is a 15th anniversary Street Fighter arcade stick. Phenomenal controller. Phenomenal controller. That's how it looks right there. I'm going to go ahead and take it out also. So let's go ahead and open this up. And let's see. Give me a second to take this one out. All right, there we go. That one's out of the box now. So this controller was dope. I mean, big, bulky, obviously, but it is a really, really dope controller. Really nice gate. If you can hear that on there. Really nice. And then up here you had your start, select, or back, because once again, this is for PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation 2 and Xbox. And then up here you had, as you can see, these are different, and they'll say square, triangle, X and O, or A, B, X and Y. And then the L's were always the same. There you had the black and white button for R1, R2, L1, L2, LR. Right there. So phenomenal controller. Micros. Pretty dope. And then here in the front, you had your slot for your memory card for Xbox. So if you were on an Xbox, you could put your memory card right there, because you know all Xbox controllers had that memory card slot. So it's pretty dope there. Phenomenal controller, man. If you were getting stuff like this back in the day, you know, you were spending good money on this type of stuff. And then here at the bottom, as you can see, this is Newbie Tech. Here at the bottom, open up this door, and here you had your cable for either Xbox or PS2, and then you were routed out through here or stored back in right here, which is pretty dope. But great controller, phenomenal controller actually, and it worked for everything, PlayStation and or PlayStation 2 and or Xbox, which was pretty dope. And since this was a 15th anniversary, you did get some goodies inside the bag. I wanted to show you guys this if you've never seen it. It's your instruction manual, and then also it had the 15th anniversary stuff in there. So that is how that, like, there for your instruction manual, and then the game, the anniversary collection, and more Capcom stuff. And I also showed you these controllers, which I had all of these also. I had to get these. I got these at GameStop, which was awesome when I had them. And then here's the rest of the stuff inside that book. And then it also came with this here, which is pretty dope. Big old poster. I'm not gonna open it all the way up, but huge poster of this here that you could hang up or whatnot. So that came inside the box also. And at this time, Xbox, they had, you know, PlayStation 2 and Xbox, they had re-released Marvel Vs Capcom 2, was playing that on there. Tekken blew up on PlayStation, was playing that on Xbox. You had, what do we have on Xbox? You had Soul Calibur, you had Street Fighters, you had Mortal Kombat. There's several different Mortal Kombats that you can play on there. But phenomenal controller. I love this controller. Probably won't get rid of this one. But like I said, the one controller I'll show you at the end, you'll understand why in the thought process of that. All right, so this is the last Xbox PS2 one, so we're just going to go ahead and go on to PS3 and then finish up. All right, so now we are on to PlayStation 3. So this one here, I got this one from GameStop. Also, the majority of everything now going forward is, for the most part, going to be from GameStop. Unless I got something online, something like, you know, special, but I'll let you know about that. This is the Mortal Kombat controller. This was phenomenal. They did an amazing job with this controller. It was very hard for me to get this one because when I purchased it, the pre-order got canceled. But then I was able to pick it up locally in the store, so I was really happy about that. But this is for the PS3, and up here you can see your L2, L1, your PlayStation button, start and select. Then down here you had your R2, L1, and then your square, X, triangle, and circle. This was a phenomenal controller, built very well. They outdid themselves with this one. I really did enjoy this controller, pretty dope. And then here on the front, you can see you had this little gold Mortal Kombat little emblem. This is to open it up. These here, this is just from me because I had it stored in my window here in my game room, and this is just paint that came off of the window sill, so I can just peel that off. So this controller is in phenomenal condition, but that's just little paint from the window sill. The bottom here is cushiony, so when you put it on your lap, it was cushioned. It wasn't hard or anything. It's made out of like a soft, like velvet material right there. And then opening it up, you get to see all of the controller guts, as we would say. And I'm gonna prop this up, bring you guys down a little bit. And there you go. You get to see all of the board. This is your gate over here. These are all your buttons here. The board that controls it right there. And then you could store stuff in the inside. This is the cable. The cable's in my other drawer over there, but the cable for the controller to plug up to. PDP is who it's made by, Mortal Kombat Fight Stick. So right there, pretty awesome. And then you can see the board that controls everything there. So if you ever want to switch any of this stuff out, all you do is take the screws. This Phillip head screws all the way around, and you would take those Phillip head screws out, and then you'll be able to remove this plastic cover here. And you can vaguely see this. It says Mortal Kombat right here with the Mortal Kombat symbol right there. Love Mortal Kombat. I got to meet a lot of the guys from Mortal Kombat when I went out to Game On, and I got some signatures. Paul, who who created the logo. He signed some stuff for me. So I've always been a huge Mortal Kombat fan, and I will always be a huge Mortal Kombat fan. So anything that comes out for them, controller-wise, I will get. So that's that there. And then back here, you can see the mini USB right there. And that went from mini USB into your PS3 by regular USB on the PS3. So that is that one there. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so next one you're seeing right here is the Tekken 7. This is made by Hori, and this is for PS3 also. This is a phenomenal controller. I mean, it's built well. It has all the features you could want on it. Up here, start button right there. And then you had turbos up here. All of your face like start, select, PlayStation button right here. Then you have all of your face buttons. It felt very, very well. These controllers are really good. You got the clicky stick. And then during this time, most people were playing online. You had your headphone jack here. If you want to put your headphones in and talk to people. Talk some crap, tell them how bad they are as you're beating their butt. You know, so this one here was a Hori controller. Tekken 7 was one of my favorite Tekkens. I think I have the Platinum Trophy. I'm almost sure I have the Platinum Trophy on this one, or I 100%ed it on Xbox. Almost positive, but this was like Tekken at its best. You know, I mean, it's even better now, but, you know, previously, you know, like Tekken 6, Tekken 5, Tekken Tag was my favorite before this one, and this one became my favorite here. And so that's that one there. And then up here, this is your little touchpad. You know, PlayStation had a little touch sensitive piece there. And then you had your controller cable here to hit away right there in this little door. And then, like I said, this is Hori. So the bottom is all metal. And Hori made phenomenal controllers. So this is a Hori stick right there. All right, let's move this one to the side. And I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you if you're still here watching this video. I'm scuffing my desk all up with these controller things. Let me wipe that off. So get this cleaned off. But let's go ahead and while I'm here, let's get some wet wipes. Because you know, if you get scuffs on white stuff, it's hard to get it off later on if you don't get it off early. So let's go ahead and try to wipe that off. There we go. Those feet on the bottom there was getting this white desk all scuffed up. All right, cool. Got that out the way. And so let's go ahead and what else do I have over here? We're going to be doing, let's do, I got one other PlayStation 3 one. Let's see, where is that PS3 one? Actually, I don't have any more PS3. All right, cool. Everything else is Xbox. So let's get into it. So this one right here, I love this controller still to this day. This is for Xbox 360. Reason I like this controller is because this controller is wireless for the Xbox 360. So it is a phenomenal controller. It has just put 2 AA's in there. It's made by Hori. It was a Tekken 6 controller, but it worked wirelessly with the Xbox 360 by itself. No dongle. You didn't have to do anything. The only thing you had to do is hit the button there. It was sync up to your Xbox, and you were good to go. This is a phenomenal controller. Really, really light. Not as big as the other ones. Again, I got this one from GameStop. You had your controller port right here on the front for your headphones. Not controller port, your headphone port. But this one, still today, I use this on, I have a modded Xbox 360, and I still use this because it works perfectly fine, and it's wireless. I don't need any cables or anything. It just hooks up to the 360 wirelessly. So I can't complain. Can't say anything bad about this controller. Phenomenal controller. If you can pick one of these up, I highly suggest picking them up. These are this particular model here is getting expensive. if you can find it. And I think it's because it is wireless. It's completely wireless. You don't need anything, just those two AA batteries, and you're off to the races. And I love using this on the Xbox 360. They had everything. I mean, when it comes to fighting games, anything you can think of was on there. Tekken was on there. It was no longer locked to PlayStation. Through Xbox Live Arcade, they had all those classic Street Fighters, Marvel vs Capcom 3, Marvel vs Capcom 2, and then later on, you know, they had Soul Calibur, the Injustice games. All of those games came out on the 360. So the 360 turned out to be a fighting game powerhouse, and the 360 is my second favorite console of all time, next to the Dreamcast. And I think that's because Peter Moore came from Sega and launched the Xbox over there, and he had a lot to do with this system. And phenomenal controller. So I'm telling you right now, if you can find it, get it. Trust me, you won't regret it. Let me show you that model number one more time right there. So you can find this for a decent price. I highly suggest getting it because it is phenomenal controller. So here on out is going to be Xbox 360 and Xbox One until we get to current day consoles. So the next one, which is one of my favorite games of all time, the story was phenomenal, and this is the Injustice controller. So this controller was crazy. This game was crazy. And the reason this game for me is a quick little story was crazy. Also got this from GameStop. This version of Superman was the best Superman ever created. Yes, he was dark, but he was no nonsense. He was like the beast that Superman is in the Injustice. And I'm quite sure you guys know the story, but I'm not even going to tell you. Just go look it up. I don't want to spoil anything. But this game was absolutely phenomenal. This controller was dope all the way around. You had your headphone jack right there. This controller was really good. This game was fantastic. Up here, start, select is what I call them still. Everybody calls that back, but this still select. Has your Xbox button up here. And then up here, you had your mini USB. Then you had your lockout and lights. This does have lights. You can turn the lights on. All of this stuff lit up right here, which is really, really dope. Really fantastic controller. Can't complain anything about this. Once again, I did get this from GameStop. This was made by PDP also. One of their controllers I didn't have any issues with. PDP has since, I mean, they're better now, but, you know, back in the day, PDP and Mad Catz were iffy. I mean, you just never knew what you were going to get out of them as a company. But this one turned out to be fantastic. No issues with this. And if you wanted to switch out any of the buttons or anything, just take these screws off and you would get access to the internals right there. All right, so there we go. That is the Injustice Gods Among Us controller for the Xbox 360. All right, next one. This one here, this man, Marvel vs Capcom. Always gonna love this game. I mean, they can't do no wrong with Marvel vs Capcom. But this one, once again, got this one from GameStop, and this opens up just like this. And there's the controller right there, collector's edition. Awesome controller. Let's go ahead and take this out. All right, so this one here is out of the box now, and as you can see, has awesome artwork right here on the top. Let me bring you guys down a little bit so you can see that. Awesome artwork on the top. Got my boy Wolverine, Iron Man, Thor, Magneto, Spider-Man, Strider, Ryu, Mega Man, Geo. We got Bison, Zangief, and obviously you boy up there, Hulk. And I said Iron Man right there. But this game was phenomenal, man. This controller was phenomenal. Got the clicks in there. Buttons all felt really, really good on here. Have your headphone jack right there. Once again, GameStop. You can hear GameStop a lot. I don't know how some people feel about that, but you can hear their name a lot. Bottom all metal, Mad Catz. This is actually a good Mad Catz controller. This is a tournament edition controller. So you see a lot of people with this controller who went to tournaments and stuff like that. And then here on the back, you had your start and back or start and select, however you feel about that. And then in this little door, you had your cable that will come out here and will plug into your Xbox 360. So that is the Marvel Vs Capcom Mad Catz arcade stick. Phenomenal arcade stick. This is a tournament edition, so the gate and the buttons are supposed to be better on this particular controller. So awesome controller. This one's getting kind of expensive now for the controller all in the box, so the price has since gone up for that one. Next one for Xbox 360 is going to be Hori. And then this one here is Marvel vs. Capcom 3. There we go. So that's the box. I still have this one in the box. I had this one in storage also. So let's go ahead and grab this out of the box real quick. And this one also, once again, as you're going to hear quite often, came from GameStop. You know, GameStop was kind of like the leader in video game around this time when you wanted things of this nature. And voila, there we go. This is Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for the Xbox 360. I don't know how some people feel about Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Some people love this game, some people don't. It depends. And you had different versions of it too. When it came to the Xbox or this game, you had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, and you had Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So those were like the different versions of the game. I can't really remember what the difference was. Maybe some character DLC. It's been so long. I think this one was just like, I don't know. Don't let me tell no stories because I don't know. I can't remember, man. It's been a while. It's been quite a while. But those are the two for this here. So, got the controller there. You got your Xbox button there. Your back button there. You have all your turbos. Start button here. All your face buttons with your RT, RB, LT, LB, which LT is right here. Phenomenal controller. Top is all plastic. Headphone jack is right here. It's funny because that looks like a plug. Whatever that is. I mean, honestly, it's a headphone plug, but that looks like the shape of an electrical outlet right there. Huh. It's weird. Anyways, that's the bottom there. All metal bottom here. Once again, this is a Hori controller, and then on the back side is where your cable comes. Cable comes out of here, routes through here, plugs it into the Xbox 360. Another phenomenal controller. Had no issues with this. I don't think I've ever had an issue with a Hori controller. And on the Xbox 360, they had, like I said, Marvel vs. Capcom games, Street Fighter games. The Xbox Live Arcade had tons of like old school fighting games. Was absolutely amazing. So 360 is one of my favorite consoles of all time. One of them. Second one next to the Dreamcast. So it would go Dreamcast for me, and then it would go Xbox 360. And then outside of Xbox 360, it would probably go Super Nintendo. Yeah, Super Nintendo for sure. And then moving on, another Xbox 360 controller. This is the Soul Calibur V controller. Let's get you guys up here so you can see that. And we're almost coming up to an hour. So I just want to thank you if you guys are still here watching. You know, it is what it is at this point. We're already 50 minutes in. So this one here is the Soul Calibur controller. Love Soul Calibur, man. Soul Calibur has always been like one of those fighting games that I absolutely loved. And this controller is beautiful. When I tell you it's beautiful, you're going to see it right now. Let's go ahead and take it out. All right, I am back. Controller is out of the box. So this controller is beautiful. It is a translucent controller, and it's red on this side, blue on this side. And reason because there's like two competing swords in Soul Calibur 5. And as you can see, the swords here and here. This controller is beautiful. It is, I'll always keep this controller. So this one I probably, you know what, don't let me say that, because you'll see at the end and you'll understand. I may still get rid of it. Turbo button up here, your Xbox button there, your turbo switches up there. These are all of your buttons, your LB, RB, LT, RT, your A, X, Y, and B. Clicky stick, awesome. And as you can see, it is see-through. And let's go ahead and turn it over. And it says Soul Calibur V on there. It is a Mad Catz controller. It's called the Arcade 5.6 Soul Edition. Never had any issues out of it, although Mad Catz has had some issues with their controllers and people hated them. I never had any issues out of this one. Put a lot of time in with this one here too. On the back side, you have your start and back button. And then like the others, you have your controller door where your cable comes out and plugs into the Xbox 360 itself. Just an absolutely beautiful controller. Really beautiful controller. Up here, you have your headphone jack, and you can see all the internals through that. Clear there, and the clear sides over on this side. Here, let me give you a view. See, both of them are clear on both sides there. One's red, and one is clear blue over here. Just a beautiful controller. No matter what, this is one of my favorites. It is up there. Absolutely stunning, stunning controller. All right, so let's go ahead and put this one to the side. And then, let's see, I have, this next one is going to be Hori, but it's going to be for Xbox One. And then we'll start wrapping this up. All right, we are back again. So this one here is, this one's Soul Calibur VI. This is for the Xbox One. This is a crazy controller. This works for everything going forward. Xbox One, One S, Series S, Series X. This will work on all of them. Absolutely beautiful controller. It also works for Windows, and it works for Xbox 360, so it is backwards compatible with the 360. This is a Hori controller. Hori killed it with this controller. So let's go ahead and get this out of the box. Hori is a phenomenal, phenomenal controller company. Now this one is not from GameStop. I'm quite sure you probably could have got it from GameStop, but I actually got this one from the gaming convention here in Cleveland, and my buddy Radical Reggie talked the guy down to a really good price for me, because, you know, I had a budget I wanted to stay within on this controller, but I had to have it. I saw it. My favorite color is red, so I had to have this this controller. Wipe that off. And here it is. Tell me that's not beautiful. Let me bring you guys down. There you go. And then on the Xbox One, you already know that's when they introduced Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct came back. Love Killer Instinct. They did a phenomenal job with that game. Obviously, Soul Calibur, all the other Mortal Kombats that they had on there, Mortal Kombat 10, 11, you know, all of those Mortal Kombats were phenomenal. This controller is beautiful. It's a translucent, like ruby red. Your buttons are nice. Clicky stick up here. Got your button there. There you go. Close that. So this little door comes in. You have all your turbos up here. And then you have your Xbox button there. But look at that artwork, man. This artwork is phenomenal. Really looks good. Really, really looks good. Then headphone jack down here at the bottom. And once again, door, USB port. So this USB port works for 360 and up plus PC. So you can use this on the PC and you can use it on the 360 and up. So this one I will be keeping because unfortunately the controller I'm going to be showing you at the end does not work with Xbox One. Not yet anyways. They'll probably update it. But until they update it, I'll be holding on to this one. I won't be getting rid of this one at all. So that is the Hori. This is Soul Calibur VI Hori arcade stick. And we are rounding out. I got maybe about 4 or 5 more. And then we'll see you at the end. Give me a second. All right, I am back. So this one here, this is now getting into the new design of controllers. So I finally wanted to do something This is a leverless controller, and I'm mixed on this controller, to be honest with you. I think these controllers were made for PC players that wanted to start playing on console, because this is a learning curve like no other. I ain't gonna lie to you. It took me a long time to figure this controller out, because when I played with PC, I played with controller or arcade stick. I never played with mouse and keyboard. For someone that plays on keyboard, this is the way to go if you want to play on console, because you're used to playing with buttons, right? So this here, great controller. 8-bit though outdid themselves with this controller. In the bottom here is just all the accessories and controllers, cables and stuff, right? But when I say they outdid themselves, this was done so freaking well. This is so thin. Look at that. That is so thin. It is crazy. And has a slip resistant bottom on there. But here are the buttons up here. You have your share button, your menu button. Just those are start and select. But this is the brightness for the LEDs. There are LEDs on this. Xbox button, programmable buttons. This is your lock. Right here, your volume for if you're playing online, because you have a headphone jack right there in the bottom. But listen, I'm not gonna lie, man. This is a learning curve, and if you're up for it, this can be a phenomenal controller for you. If you are a PC player that has played with keyboard and mouse or just keyboard, this is the way to go for console for you. It's so natural. It's probably gonna be so natural for you that you should be able to pick this up. I'm relatively good with it now, but I'm gonna be honest with you, it took me months to get used to this, and then I kind of abandoned it when I got the other controller. But this one here works for Xbox Series X, S, Xbox One, that whole lineup. Also works for PC. Great controller, beautiful controller, lights up in green, or the LEDs there. You hear the micro switches. So you have that clicky touch right there. It works very, very well. So up here you have your left, down, right, up. So if you're playing, most likely you're going to be playing like this for your directions. And then these are your buttons over here. You can program them however you want if you want to. But I love hearing those clicky switches. Phenomenal controller. This one I got off of Amazon. Woot has this on sale quite often for about 60 bucks. So I would highly suggest picking it up, especially if you're a PC player looking to play on console and you want something more native to the mouse or the keyboard. Unless you just use a keyboard, because Xbox, you can use keyboard on Xbox. But this here is awesome, and you can program it, so you can set it up however you want. But just that clicky sound I love, man. That clicky sound just gets me going. So now on the bottom, also you have little feet. You can flip up. I hate these because I can never get them to flip up right. But if you want, you can flip these up. This helps the keyboard sit up a little higher on the back end up here. So that's pretty awesome there. Excuse me. And then this is your dongle. Plugs into the Xbox there. And this is an easy place to store it so you don't lose it. And it is magnetic. As you saw, you just put it there and it is magnetically pulls it in. So it doesn't just fall out of the controller and you lose it. Because if you lose it, you're stuck. You ain't going to be playing with this controller. So that's the downside of that one. All right, so cool. Now we are coming down to the last three controllers. Once again, I want to send a huge thank you to anybody that is still here with this video. I know it's long, man. I know it's long. But, you know, this is one of those videos. You sit back, grab your snacks, and you just enjoy what we're showing you. So the next controller here is going to be a little bit going back a little bit, but hold on a second. All right, back again. This is a little side detour. This is actually this works for PS4. So, and I have one, and I have another PS4, PS5 controller, PC controller, but this works for PS4 and it works for PC. This is the Neo Geo. This is an SNK controller. So this does a couple different things. So this one has the a whole bunch of Neo Geo games built into it. I modded mine, so this has the full Neo Geo library on it, and then you can plug it in, and you can use multiple people with this. So this, I can be playing this here, and then you can plug in player 1, player 2 here if you want to. Headphone jack there for the if you want to use it on the PS4. I'm quite sure it probably works for PS3 also. It's kind of dusty. And then up here, this is the HDMI input. This plugs from here into your TV. This is power. And then you see this little ScanDisc USB right here. This is where I modded it, and I put the high-low stick hack on here. So this has the full Neo Geo library, the full NES, Super NES, Genesis, and a whole bunch of arcade games built into this. So when I plug it up to the TV, it's like a mini arcade plugged up to the TV, which is pretty dope. Over here, on this side, you have your turbo option, start and select. You got your switches there. And then on the bottom, you have your USB. You pop this door open here. If I can get it open. There we go. And then your USB cable is there. You can plug into your PC, your PS3, into your PS4, and it works there. I had almost forgot about this one. I had this one sitting on the shelf. I don't use it as much anymore, but it is a phenomenal controller, especially if you get the high-low stick hack, which is kind of hard to find now, but if you do find it with somebody out there, this is amazing. And then I also upgraded this and changed out all the buttons and the ball top. So the ball top thing on this was white, if I remember. I can't remember. And then I changed out all the buttons here to match the Neo Geo colorway for these here, and I put 2 black and 2 white over on this side. So this controller is phenomenal, especially if you want to play some Neo Geo arcade game stuff, because stuff is right inside the controller itself, which is absolutely beautiful. All right, so let's put that one to the side. So the next one, this is going to be a last PlayStation one here. This one is, Victrix is the name of the company, and they make the best controllers, period. Now, I've had a couple of these. This is my latest one. This one here is the Victrix this one is the Victrix Pro FS. I was going to say the BFG, but that's their actual controller stick. So this one here is the King of Fighters edition, Lori edition. This is 108 out of 205. This is all anodized steel. This is a beautiful controller. Absolutely stunning, stunning controller. Now, I switched all this out. This all came with black buttons, but I went ahead and got purple crystal Hori buttons and 2 gray crystal Hori buttons there, and I got a purple ball top for this one here. This is a beautiful controller. It is for PS4, PS5, PC. It may work for PS3. I'm not entirely sure. I never tried it on a PS3, but I know for sure PS4, PS5, and PC without a doubt. Up here is the touchpad right there. These is your PlayStation button here, and then you have your program buttons up here. And then you have your headphone jack down here. And I got this from Victrix's website. I love Victrix controllers. I had the Ken version of this, is all red. I also had this Sagat. I had a ton of these, okay? I always end up selling one to get another one. But I sold my Ken one to get the one controller I'm showing you next, which is the last controller, which is the ultimate controller. I sold that one to be able to buy the one I'm going to show you last. But this here is, Victrix. It is the Pro FS Lori edition for King of Fighters. And this controller is phenomenal. It's all anodized steel. And then on the back here, you have your Type-C port to plug your controller in. And then here on the bottom, this opens up. And you can see all of the internals. This is your gate. This one I was telling you about the gate. So this is your gate here. And this is Sanwa gate. This is all your buttons. These are Sanwa buttons. You can see Sanwa right here on the button itself. I switched them all out. And then It's just an amazing controller. Phenomenal. You can store up here, you can store your stick, because the stick comes off, has an Allen wrench to do any type of customization, and that closes there. But your stick, and it comes with an all purple cable, but this stick right here comes off. So to take it off, you just pull up on the base here, and it comes off just like that. And you can store it into controller. So like if you put this in a book bag or something, this is not sticking out. It can just get stored up under the controller itself. You want to put it on here, just squeeze up, push down, and you're good to go again. Phenomenal controller. Got this from Victrix. They run about $400, $500 when they first come out. Phenomenal controller. Highly suggest this controller. This one is going bye-bye for sure, but that's it right there for the controller. So now, the creme de la creme. And the reason why most of these controllers are going bye-bye is for this last controller here. And this last controller is the controller of controllers. Okay? This controller replaces everything you've seen here except for an Xbox One, because I don't think this is compatible with the Xbox One yet. But an update could be coming at any point in time to make this controller compatible with the Xbox One. But this is the top dog of all controllers. This is the TR Fight Stick. It's the Octopus. This is a phenomenal controller. This replaces literally everything you've seen today. Everything that you've seen today. Let me get this all in view. So this, let me get these out of here actually, and I can show you guys. I got the box here, and I'm going to pull all of these out. And you'll understand. I highly recommend getting this controller. This is the only controller you'll ever need for the most part. There we go. So put those cables to the side, and let me explain this. So phenomenal. I'm definitely switching out these buttons soon. So these buttons are going to be switched out with different color buttons. Just don't know when I'm going to actually do that, but it is coming. Plug my device up here. There we go. So those buttons will be switched out, but this has a built-in VMU for the Sega Dreamcast. That's what that little screen is up here. So it's a built-in VMU so that you can use your VMU, save all your Dreamcast stuff onto that VMU, which is pretty sweet. You have your Start, Select, Home VMU button right there. Then you have Turbo, Touch, L3, R3 right there. So they have it all set up for all the consoles. This works for everything, NES all the way up for the most part. And it's a phenomenal controller. TR Fight Sticks, you can go to their website. They actually have a deal on their controllers right now. First time buyers, I think it's like $25 off or something like that. But each, here, let's show you the back real quick. Each controller, this has a cable for all of those systems. So on the back here, you have your your Type-C. That's for like all current day consoles. You have your DIN port for Saturn, no, not Saturn, Neo Geo. This is how the other cables plug in for other systems. It's how you turn it on and how you lock it right there. So pretty dope. But let's go ahead and pull this around. And so this cable is Type-C. This goes from this cable into your PS4, PS3, into PS4, PS5, PS3, and let me see here. Give me 1 second. All right, so I had to grab the little card for. So PS3, PS4, PS5, Xbox 360. So we're good there. The Mr. FPGA, Analog Pocket Dock, PC, Nintendo Switch, original Xbox, Neo Geo Mini, PlayStation Classic. You got your Mega Drive, your Astro City, and then Sega Saturn, NES, Super NES, GameCube, N64, Dreamcast, TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, PS1, PS2, Neo Geo, Mega Drive. So this literally works for everything. Now, when you get this, you do have to buy those extra cables if you want to use those. So that's this one here is Genesis, and then we have which one is this one? PlayStation, and it has the R35 into the controller, and then the PlayStation into the PlayStation right there. And then this one here is for Neo Geo, right there. And then this one is Xbox, original Xbox, right there. This one is, what is that, GameCube? Almost positive that's GameCube, right here. Pretty dope. And then what do we have here? N64. So Nintendo 64 right there. And this one here is Sega Saturn, right there. And this one here is PlayStation. I thought I had a PlayStation already. This is PlayStation. Hold up, I got two PlayStations? 583. Oh, one's PlayStation 1, one's PS2. No, I'm tripping. This one is PlayStation. It looks so much alike. This is PS1, PS2. This one is Super Nintendo. Sorry about that. That shape. They look so much alike. But yeah, this is Super Nintendo. And this one here is PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. And then what do we have here? This is NES. So your Nintendo. And then what is this one? This one is Dreamcast right here. And then this one here is TurboGrafx 16 right here. So this controller literally works for everything. The only thing it doesn't work for at this moment is Xbox One and up, but it works for the 360 and down, and then it works for PS5, PS4, PS3, all PlayStation, and all the other consoles I just mentioned. This controller is dope. So everything you've seen today, this controller will replace just about everything except for any ones that were for Xbox One. So for the most part, all of those I will be getting rid of at some point and just going with this one. I don't need anything. This takes all those boxes, all those controllers. They're taking up space. This one resolves all of that. So the only ones I have to keep is the ones for Xbox One until this is compatible with Xbox One. It's also compatible with PC. So I'm not sure. I've never tried it on the Xbox One. It could work. So I just don't know. I never tried it. They never mentioned it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go and try it on the Xbox One and come back and let you know, hey, it does work. But it's not on the pamphlet. It doesn't natively say anything about Xbox One. So we'll see. But hey, guys, I really appreciate you sticking with me for an hour and 20-minute video on my arcade collection. And arcade controllers have been a thing for me, and they'll always be a thing for me. I freaking love them. I've invested a lot of time and a lot of money into these controllers, and I absolutely love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tour through my arcade controller collection. And then let me know down in the comment section how you feel about arcade controllers, or which one of these were your favorite. And let me know some memories that you have with some of the games that you played in the arcade, or the reason why you got an arcade controller and brought it home. I would love to hear all that information from you guys. All right, guys, the video is now officially over. If you did enjoy it, please drop a like. I really appreciate that. If you are not already subscribed, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, and please drop a like and let me know how you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully it won't be so long this time, because I've been away for a bit, but maybe next time it won't be so long. All right, guys. Hey, peace. Have a great one.